This week's theme is going to be freedom. We have got, if you're in any kind of a business, but particularly in a dog training business, and you want to have the freedom to get away from this horrible type of weather that we see outside. I just came back from Costa Rica. As you know, I was here last week. I put together some tips and tricks that I have used over my years in business to freedom that allows me to get away and still grow my business. And if you want that, just type freedom in the comments and you'll get a direct link to it. Do you know what would cause a dog to suddenly be scared in the house? So my question back would be, does the dog spend alone time in the house? If so, then something may have happened when you're not there, especially if it's a, older dog. I don't know. I mean, once again, when you post your questions, please give me the breed and the age of your dog. But there could have been something that's happened when you weren't there. So you can't detect it, but the dog is not comfortable because it could be coming from anywhere. It might have been as simple as a bang from a truck or a vehicle on the road. Say a dump truck goes by, you know how those doors bang. It could be something as simple as that maybe spooked her out of a sound sleep or him out of a sound sleep. That's one thing that happened. It might have been a noise on the television that you didn't even realize. Dogs are so tuned in to their environment, and they see you in their environment. So this is their world, and now something has happened and they're trying to figure it out. The other thing that could be happening is maybe there's a medical issue. Could be a hearing or a sight issue. If it's an older dog, those senses could be declining. There's often cognitive decline. As you get older, people do it too. People and dogs that get older, they get more paranoid or more nervous. So there's those things to consider. And I would also want to know, what's the dog's typical day look like? How often are they getting out? Have you seen any other things happen outside? What may have changed in the house that you maybe haven't even thought about? Maybe a new arrival, or someone has left, or someone is sick, or someone's temporarily visiting in the house. Anything that's disrupted the norm could be causing this sudden change in behavior. So if you can provide those, plug in those holes, that'll help you understand possibly what's going on, and it may help me get a little more clarity on, I can help you a little bit. But by all means, go to the link in my bio, click on Stand Store, and look down the list there of resources for relieving how to help your older dog be less anxious. That's really what may be happening there. So check that out. All right, Sharon Smith, Carter Movement. Question. New foster pup, 9 weeks old. Oh, cool. What's the number one tip to stop him from biting and nipping? Welcome to puppy life. So there's a couple of things that may be happening. I just put together a video that will be released this week on preventing that from starting. And one of the games I play, I had a little puppy here. One of the games I play is called the collar grab. So I'll grab the collar and then I'll feed. Grab the collar and give them food. Grab the collar, give them food. And I'm like, yes, and give them food. Or I'll say their name, puppy, and give them food. So if once again, I'm going to go back to the puppy's daily routine. And I do believe there is a free resource in my bio. Click on the Stand Store link in my Instagram bio and go down to the free puppy parenting course. There's 2 courses there. There's a comprehensive course that has a fee attached to it, just a nominal fee. But there's also a kind of a summary of that, or like an abstract from that course, and that's free. So it gives you an insight into what's in the course. By all means, go and grab that course. So to stop them from nipping my recommendation is to prevent it from starting in the first place. And here's the things to watch for. Is it when you're putting your hand near her head? And if so, and she goes to grab your hand, you hold your hand steady, but you offer something with the other hand. So pretty soon they start to just pull away from that. That's a threat to a dog when you move your hand close to their head. The second thing to watch for is, does it happen when you're trying to attach a leash? You go to attach a leash and the puppy's going, hey, get out of my space. They're feeling threatened. So you can do the collar grab exercise that I just explained, where you grab the collar and feed. And the third, and probably the most likely one that I see frequently in puppies, is overtiredness. 90% of the puppies I see here in training that have a nippy problem, a biting problem, a crazy energy problem, is usually due to sleep deprivation. Puppies need 18 to 22 hours of sleep a day at this age. At 9 weeks, like 2 to 6 months, they need at least 18 hours of sleep every day. So, if you go with the minimum of 18 hours, That only leaves you 6 waking hours with the puppy. And what happens that I see is like this. Puppies playing, la-da-da, they're playing, and they're, you're petting them, and you're constantly touching them, which is another factor that causes endless biting and nipping. They don't like it constantly. They just want it to be brief, like a handshake. But then all of a sudden they're good, and then all of a sudden they start to bite you. The biting is a way to say, back off, get out of my space. Or like a whiny kid. You ever seen a whiny kid? You just want to, like, they drive you nuts because they're so tired. They can't concentrate. And oftentimes when a puppy shifts from being a good puppy into unexplained biting and nipping, it's overtiredness. And the solution, put them in their crate, shut the door, give them a Kong or a snuggly toy to snuggle up to, and leave the room. If they whine, they won't whine for long because they are so tired, they will go to sleep. And you might find, it might seem unreasonable, but you might find every hour or every hour and a half, every 2 hours, every 1 to 2 hours, you're putting that puppy in a crate for an hour, 1 to 2 hours. And I don't go and wake them up in 2 hours. I let them sleep till they wake up. Then I get them out, take them outside, and they do their business. Then we either go for a walk, although if you live in Ontario like I do, all you say you live in Lindsay, so you're not taking that puppy too far in this weather. It's too cold and there's too much snow, and the puppy's not going to be happy. But they will get tired in a hurry. When you come back in the house and you do some little puppy drills, maybe make sure you have a long line attached to them, like 8 to 10 feet, so that you can step on the line if the puppy goes to get in trouble, rather than grabbing their head, their collar, which causes nipping and biting because you're surprising them. Attach a long line to their collar. It should be outside and inside. When they come in, just drop it. You don't have to hang on to it. And then when you want them to come, you step on the line. You go, puppy, come. You get down, you squat down, you clap your hand, you sound happy. Every time that puppy checks in with you, you take food, you put it between your fingers like this, and you offer your flat hand. You let them come and take that food out of your hand. So now your hand is a good thing. So when their hand comes towards their face, they're going to look and maybe pull back because they're looking for the food, and you can offer food with the other hand, or you can offer food with that hand. So overtiredness, too much sudden movement near their face when they haven't developed a trust for your hand are two reasons for nippiness. And the solutions are, first of all, I present my hand flat and I let puppy come into that space and learn how to take food nicely. All food, every morsel of food for the next 2 to 3 months comes from your hand. So your hand is now a good thing. And dogs won't bite the hand that feeds them if they trust it. And we want to build trust by teaching the puppy to take the food that your hand always has something good to offer, which is food. When you're feeding with one hand, you should be able to come up and grab the collar with the other hand. You don't grab it rough. You just put your hand under there, put a little restraint on it so they know it's there while they're getting the food out of your hand. The other thing to do is to sit on the floor with the puppy. So you're sharing space. Now you've come down to their level. This is called being with, or I call it the turtle game, because kids like the name turtle game. You sit down, if your puppy is here and you're up here. So you sit down on the floor with the puppy, and what you hope that the puppy may be jumping in your face. You cover up like you're in a turtle shell, withdraw into your shell, and as soon as the puppy pulls back out of your space, you sit up. She comes back, you cover up again. And then when they back off, you sit up. You don't have to feed for that. On my YouTube channel, there's something with a little puppy called Manadoo, and I ended up feeding him because he just got so good at it, backing off, and he was looking for, like, what else is going on here? That game, you'll fix that. If they jump into your face and want to pull your hair and bite and nip and everything, try not to scream, although I know it's hard. And as soon as they back off, you just sit up. Their reward is they get to hang out with you. And I know that doesn't seem like much of a reward to us as humans. We want to pay them. You don't want to give them food or praise or touch them or something. Just be with the dog, with the puppy in their space on the floor. That will teach them that you get them, you understand them, and they don't need to bite you because you're not going to invade or disrespect their personal space. And then when you get up, you walk away, and puppy comes and hangs out with you. You feed from hand. Everything comes from your hand. That's going to be the way to stop it. And look for the overtiredness. Check, set your watch if you have to, or your phone. Put a buzzer on your phone that after 30 minutes, the buzzer goes, the alarm goes off, and check the puppy's behavior. If she's getting a little restless or a little bit annoying, put her away. She might bark and protest. Just walk away. It's okay. It's not a threat. And then you come back. Okay. So come back and let them out when they wake up. I hope that helps. I'm looking forward to our call. I know you've got one booked. Okay, next question. Is it natural that the dogs sleep on the bed? Well, that's a $64 million question there. I'm assuming you mean on your bed, and I'm assuming you mean at night when you're in it. So, question, what kind of dog? How old is it? What kind of training has it had? Where other places does it sleep? Is it crate trained? Does it know on or off the bed? Will it get off the bed when you ask? Generally, here's the principle of who's running who here in the dog world. If their feet are above yours, in their mind, they are above you in status. You ever see a dog? We call it up leveling. And my Papillon does it all the time. She jumps up on the bed with me, and right away she goes and she sits up here. And it isn't because she's trying to dominate me. Like that's ridiculous. But she does like to feel that she's at the top, because then she can look out for danger. In the case of your bed, to sleep at night, like she won't sleep on the bed with me. She gets down and goes in her own crate. I've tried. I've tried. She just, nah, I've come up here. I've looked around. I'm comfortable in my own den. Thank you very much. And so if you can ask that dog to get off when you want it to get off and it doesn't give you any grief, it's not necessarily natural, but it could be okay. For puppies and all of my new dogs, like Prince came when he was 7 months old. My Pomeranian came when she was almost a year old. Pippi was 2.5. Pippi was already trained to sleep in a crate, but neither Prince and the other one both were, but they didn't like it. But I still require them to sleep in the crate for at least the first 6 months that they're with me. So they understand leaders control 3 things: movement, which is the walking; space, which is everything around. They need to defer to you. They move out of the leader's way, put it that way. If you watch dogs hanging out together, they'll move out of each other's way. Not always the same one, but they just know, I'm not interested in the space, you can have it, and they move through. But I want them to move out of my space when I'm walking. I'm not going to step around them. And resources. So what's a resource? Well, a bed encompasses 2 things. It encompasses personal space, but it also includes a resource. The bed becomes that dog's personal space, or it can, if it's not treated properly. If you don't deal with it properly. So if the dog's on the bed, helps itself to the bed. I'll often ask the dog to get off the bed, then I get in, then I will invite it up. Then it's my rules. But initially, when I'm building the relationship with the dog, that relationship has to be built on trust and respect, and that goes both ways. I won't allow the dog on my personal space. That's my intimate space. I give them their own intimate space, which is their crate. The crate's in my room and it's beside me and we're close, but they're not with me. And the instant, if at any point, when I finally do allow the dog to come on the bed, if I move my foot and it growls at me, it never has access to the bed again. So the question about, is it natural? It's not about natural or unnatural. It's about the dog's attitude towards that space and how, and what other hierarchies are in place to indicate to the dog that they need to respect you. This isn't about dominance and I'm the boss and you're going to do what I say. This is about respect. Leadership is fluid. It's dynamic. When it comes to a resource, for example, if my dog gets too hot, he gets off the bed. It's not his or mine. It's just there. So that's because that's the relationship that we have. And he loves to, and Prince sleeps in bed with me, but he had to earn that right. I had him for well over a year before he had access to that. And then we do it in increments. I invite him up for a little, TV watching time, and then, okay, time to get off, and you go into your crate. And he's fine to do that because now we've had our together time. And then eventually it got to be more and more. And then at the cottage, that's where it started, it's just easier. I still have a crate out there for him, but he had to earn that right. So it took me, it was a year before the lessons began. And then it was probably a full year after that as we integrated into letting him get on the bed. But when I go in, if I need it and I say, get off, he gets off. So in your case, if the dog is helping itself to the bed, but you come in, you go, hey, Fluffy, on the floor. And you get in and they say, okay, come on up. And then you can move around, do whatever you want at night. And the dog's fine, just sleeps at the foot of the bed. Then that's okay. But if you need the dog to sleep in a crate at night, it should do that regardless of how much access it has to your bed. So once again, it's not a black and white answer. It depends. And what kind of relationship do you have with the dog? Do they respect your leadership role? In other words, do they understand? They trust that you've got their back no matter what. And when you ask them to move out of your way, hand over a resource, let you pick up their food bowl, do they respect that? They back off and they make no issue over it? Do they let you reach into their mouth and take a ball? No issue. Do they walk nicely on leash and defer to you when they see another dog and they understand you've got their back? Those are all things that indicate how much freedom that dog is going to have and how many rights it has to get to sleep on my intimate space, which is the bed. And do they let you sleep on their bed? So let me know about that. I think that'd be interesting to follow up on that. But thanks for that question. It's a great question. Is it natural for the dog to sleep on the bed? Mm-hmm. Okay, here's another one. How to stop the dog scratching at our door? I don't understand that question. What door? Exit door, entrance door, bedroom door? Why is it scratching? Generally, people want the dog to give an indicator of when it's coming in, when it needs to come in. It should never be outside on its own in the first place. That's just a rule of thumb that I have. I don't allow my dogs outside on their own, period. I'm standing out there with them, even if it's freezing bloody cold, which it is now. I put all my stuff on, and we go into the yard till they do their business, and then I go back in. Why? Because I want them to feel secure in my presence. I don't want them to develop their own independence, their own pack mentality, their own, I don't need her out here, we don't have to come in. Not happening. So I'm there. I'm part of their pack. We're all in this together, sort of thing. But they know that if push comes to shove, I've got their back. And in Prince's case, if push comes to shove, he's got my back. I can guarantee you that. So that's the kind of relationship that has to happen. So, and if they're scratching at what door? Entrance door, bedroom door. You just finished asking me a question about natural to sleep on the bed. So if the dog is sleeping on the bed and then you boot it out of the bedroom and shut the door, of course it's confused. If you don't want the dog sleeping on your bed for any reason, and you can have your own reasons, then don't let it sleep on the bed. Put it in a crate. And if you need to get in the bedroom and shut the door and keep the dog out of the bedroom, put it in a crate so that it's not confused. And the crate can be anywhere you want it to be, but just keep it in the same place. All right, I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Next question. How can I train my dog not to shout when sees other dogs? So I'm assuming you mean not to bark or react when it sees other dogs. Okay, great question. It's not that you're going to teach it not to do that. You're going to teach it that it doesn't have to do that. And the way I teach that is to interrupt by, if I'm walking, the dog is on this side and a dog is coming towards us on the same side as the dog, I will bring my hand around, step in front, guide my dog over to the other side, spinning around, and now the dog is on my opposite side to the approaching dog that it sees. Middle is leadership in this case. So I'm between my dog and the other dog, and I might walk sideways to block their visibility from the other dog so that they know there's no threat there. There's dogs bark at other, you have to ask the question, why is my dog barking at other dogs when it sees other dogs? Here's a big one. For people that send their dogs to doggy daycare and then have a reactivity issue on leash, here's the thing. The dog maybe has been conditioned to think that it should meet every dog it sees. So the barking is, hey buddy, come on over, let's play. Or it just sees the other dog as a threat because you're not covering its back. So by doing what we call the trigger dance, which the trigger is the dog coming, sets your dog off to bark, and you bring your outside hand around to the side the dog is on, you swing the dog around, and then you start to guide it forward as you block the visibility from the other dog. That tells the dog you're between them. You've got your weak side, which is your back to the other dog, and your strong side, which is your chest to your dog. They go, wow, she's not afraid of that thing, so I must not need to be afraid either, and I don't need to be protecting myself because she's got my back. That's how you do it. And you have to do it over and over and over again. And the way to start that trigger dance is to practice in the house with food or a sock or something on the floor that you don't want the dog to have. So you're walking, the food's on the same side, you start walking towards, the dog sees the food, and you bring around, you swing around, you bring the dog around, guide it to the other side, and you walk right by, and then when it's by, then you reward. It's called the trigger dance. I do have a lesson plan for that. There may be some videos on my YouTube channel, but there for sure is going to be a chapter in the leash walking course. So it will be the final bonus chapter because it's not included in a regular, well, it is actually included in the regular leash walking program that I teach, but most trainers teach it specifically to reactivity. I teach it as a matter of conditioning the dog to work on both sides so that I can block that distraction without thinking. Prince, I just go to Prince and go, hey, here, look, and he just looks at me. Not all dogs will do that. They need more body language from you, which is teach the dog to roll to your opposite side, face the dog, sidestep till you're past the distraction or the trigger, and then you turn and you resume a normal walk and you reward. So that will be in the Great Stroll. You can enroll in that program now by going to my bio, clicking on the Stand Store link, and looking for the Great Stroll, just leash walking program. I think that's what it's called, and do that. So I hope that helps. Thank you for the question. It's common that dogs will react when they see other dogs, but it's an easy fix, but you have to work at it. You have to work at it. And also be aware, for those of you that have puppies, man, this is I don't even remember if this is in the puppy course, but socialization is not allowing your dog to meet every dog and every person it sees. Socialization is providing experiences that give your dog the confidence that you've got their back, that they don't need to worry about that thing coming into their space. This is just background noise, and I'm here with the boss, and aren't we having a good time? That's what socialization really is, honest. So sometimes dogs that do what Svetlana is asking here about shouting, how not to shout when they see other dogs, they do it because they've been conditioned to meet every dog they see or every person they see. Don't do that. And if you have done it, stop. Just stop and start doing the trigger dance. Like I said, when they see somebody else, you go, no, let's go, and you just keep moving. And you're happy about it because they're not doing something to you, they're doing something for them. Okay, I hope that helped. Thanks for the question. Good one. All right, next question. This is a good one. From Fly Fisher Bear, the question is this. Our 3-year-old Shih Tzu Bichon mix sits with us at night while watching TV and barks at every animal on the TV. There's no question here, but I'm assuming the question is, how do we stop that? So here's how you stop it. There's a couple of ways to stop it. First of all, I have a question for you. Is the dog free? In other words, when they see the animal on TV, do they run and bark at the TV? Okay, that's generally what happens. And everyone goes, isn't that cute? Now stop it. Well, you've already rewarded them, and then your tone changes, and all the dog says is, well, this is a happy time, and now they're upset with this thing just like I am. So I better keep barking. The way to stop it, and it's 3 years old, so there's some habits there, is to what I call sit on the dog, put a leash on the dog while you're watching TV. If it's on the couch with you, that's fine. Have it beside you, but still sit on that leash. Give it just enough slack to lay down. If it's on the floor, put your foot on the leash. Give it just enough slack to lay down. And when the animal comes on the TV, just be prepared for it. And it barks, I would just go, nope, and then say nothing. No other attention, because negative attention is still attention. And generally what the dog is doing is saying, I don't like that. I'm concerned about that. I'm letting you know, what should I do? Bark, bark, bark. And if you go, stop it, you're just going bark, bark, bark with them. But if you just make one little, hey, and that interrupts, it might say, no, quiet. Or I just say, that's enough. And then I stop. And then they go, oh, okay. And then the next one that comes on, you'll see them raise up. And as soon as they raise up and then they sit back down, calming, yeah, good dog. And you can pet them, feed them, whatever you want. But it's going to take practice. The key thing for you to remember, if your dog barks at every animal on the TV, is don't bark with them. And that means don't yell at them when they bark. And don't give them the freedom to run at the TV, which means sit on the leash with just enough slack for them to lay down. And then when they light up, don't light up with them. Stay calm. Enough. You might tap them a little bit on the side of that. Hey, enough. I mean, if they're really, adrenalized, generally they won't be, because the flash across the screen doesn't last that long. You got to stay at it. Persistence pays and consistency matters. So you've got to stay with it at the same time, all the time, get everyone in the family on the same page, which means, as annoying as it is and as hard as it will be, don't yell at the dog when it barks. If you've missed the boat and you've let the dog run at the TV, get between the dog and the TV, hook a leash on, bring her back to the chair and sit down. End of story. Dog goes, oh, okay. You got it. That's it. Repeat, repeat, repeat. All right, thanks for that question. It was a good one. Question from Better Be You Too. My 2-year-old King Charles Cavalier Spaniel barks and launches towards other dogs when out walking. If he can't run towards them, he kicks up dirt, and that spreads his feet, so he's leaving scent, and barks at them from a distance, trying to figure out why. Well, I wouldn't worry about figuring out why. I would just be the leader, step into that space, interrupt, and just keep walking, and let him know that the pack doesn't stop and wait for that. What sounds like is happening is he starts to bark, and he's out in front of you, you're hanging on, and you watch. He's likely on a body harness, and you or a flat collar, and you just stop and watch. And you go, he shouldn't be doing that. He doesn't know that. The more he gets to do it, the more he thinks it's okay. Like I said in the previous answer, you want to interrupt that. So if he's out front, you're going to have to, first of all, teach him to walk nice on a leash. But if you can't do that, just bring him back. Cavaliers aren't that big. Bring him back and put him on the opposite side to the dog that he sees. He's got to be beside you, and then turn your back to that dog that he's barking at and move him along with you until you're past that. And yes, there might, I know, I really feel for people that live in the city where you got lots of dogs coming at you, but then just go home or get out of there. But you've got to move. You've got to be between the dog he's barking at and him, and so that he knows your back is to the barking dog, because he's feeling threatened. Then he's letting them know that he's there, because that's why he's kicking up the dirt to leave scent, and then he's barking at them from a distance. Like that's what I call a coward move. Like that's a bully move. Hey, yeah, 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 until they come at them, and then he's likely going to be afraid, because King Cavaliers aren't aggressive, but he's feeling vulnerable because you're not doing anything. Just saying. I know you don't have to tell me what you're doing or not doing. I know you're not doing anything, because he is not confident, or he wouldn't be doing that. All you have to do, and I mean, my palm used to be the same, so you put it on the other side and just put your back and come on, let's go. And you keep moving. You don't slow down. You don't stop. You don't wait and see what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. So the dog is over on your, say you walk your dog on your left side. So a dog is on your left side approaching or at a distance where he sees. So you've got to take your opposite hand to the leash, bring it around, bring him to the other side, and then basically you flip him so he's walking with you. You turn at the same time, trigger dance. You just turn and you walk with him. That's it. As you're bringing him around, you're spinning, and so that he's kind of flowing. As he's coming around, you're turning your body. He's following your body, and then you start moving, and he comes into position, and you just get out of there. Just sidestep till you're out of there, and repeat, repeat, repeat. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're just joining, practice this in the house first. Like put something on the floor that he really likes, like not a toy, not something that he's allowed to have, but something that he's not allowed to have, like food, some kind of food, and put it on a plate so you can see it. It's obvious that it's there and he's not allowed to have it. You put the food on the same side as you walk him, and then as you get there, you spin around, he follows you, and you shuffle by. You're a good dog. As you get to this side, just keep repeating. Pretty soon, what will happen? Here's the outcome. Pretty soon, when you build that habit in their brain, you're reprogramming their brain. You're changing the feedback loop from, spiking cortisol, getting that dopamine hit, to thinking, moving to the frontal cortex, the decision-making part of the brain that says, oh, I remember now I'm supposed to do something here. And then they look up and there you are in position, and away you go. So what will happen is that becomes the calming feeling for them. And what happens with repetition and consistency is they will see that trigger and they will move automatically to the other side to avoid conflict. Most dogs, when they know leadership is present, that's got their back, that makes them feel calm and comfortable, they will avoid conflict. But you have to teach it. So good luck with that. Don't worry about the why. Just worry about giving him something else to think about. Okay, next question. Yep. Carter Crossfield. Hello, my 4-year-old border Aussie is still reactive to dogs. He hasn't sniffed or played with another dog except his 7-year-old sister. Please help on where do I go from here? Had a few trainers. Part of the problem is you have a herding dog. He's maybe, instead of reacting, he's maybe just trying to move them, trying to herd them. That's a common with Aussies. It's common. So my question would be, you say you've had a few trainers. I'd love to know what their approach was. Because have you ever tried to introduce him to other dogs in a way that makes him feel comfortable? That would be I would try that, because he lives with another dog. Mind you, she was there first. So and she's likely kind of the boss. So he's like feeling okay with her. You can still do the trigger dance where you put him on the other side. With an Aussie, that may not work because they're very determined to move those dogs to get into that space and control. They're trying to control the space and the energy. While you're doing that, if you want to introduce him to another dog, the first thing I would do just by default is muzzle train him to wear a muzzle comfortably. Baskerville, or if you're in the States, Jeffco is the best. Get him comfortable wearing that muzzle. Then start to do the dance and the reactivity thing, and try introducing him to other dogs. Not every dog he sees, but dogs that you trust. Dogs that can maybe deal with his behavior or his reactivity or his attitude, because it's an attitude. so that by having a muzzle on him, everybody's comfortable. Everybody knows nothing bad can happen. And the Aussie knows he doesn't have to make the tough decisions. He can't use his mouth. And the other dog knows that he's harmless. So that would be where I would want to see, kind of how there's a body language that goes with reactive to dogs. My experience with her, and I had an Aussie Shepherd here, puppy. She was here for the weekend, and like I said to the owner when she picked her up, I said, "You're going to have to keep an eye on her because she's a rough player." She took Prince on no problem. Like, she was running, and I would play a game with him and get him. He likes to be chased, and she'd run up, she'd be nipping at him, nipping his heels, and if I played tug with him, she'd be jumping at his face and his shoulders. So she's just trying to move him, and he's a herder. He moves her back, but I stayed between them and moved them. But the thing to remember is he needs to learn how to deal with the presence of other dogs. But if you go into working, if you go on to YouTube or Instagram and look for the working line, people that have working line Aussies or border collies, it's fascinating to watch. But they are very strategic in how they let those dogs get out of the vehicle and ready to work, because they're all going to bring them out, sit right away, bring them out, sit right away. I have to do that with Prince, and I had a cattle dog, very same thing. If she got out first, she would just turn around and try to attack every dog that came out. But if I let her come out last and they were all doing their thing, she could come out and sit, then she looks at me, and then we're good to go. So I would really work on his social skills, finding out what's going on, muzzle train him first. And then, and I don't know where you're from, Carter Crossfield, if I could possibly recommend somebody, if I knew where you're from, muzzle train first to get comfortable, get everyone comfortable. And that means, how do you do that? I would start putting all his food in the muzzle, let him dig in there to get it. And if he turns away and doesn't want it, then he doesn't get fed. The restaurant closes until the next mealtime. And then it comes back. No treats, no nothing, only from the muzzle. So the muzzle becomes a good thing. The thing to remember, people, about muzzles is they're not an indication that a dog is aggressive. They're a safety net that says, I can relax as the handler because I know now I can just focus on the dog. I don't have to worry about the mouth. And for the dog, they are a relaxant because it says, woo, I get to go somewhere that I never got to go before. And I don't have to worry about somebody coming after me because that's your job. And I can't use my mouth anyway. Prince's muzzle train, I put a muzzle on him every time we go in public because people are often, they don't even realize what they're doing, but they'll touch him. He doesn't like to be touched. And he'll whip around. And if he's got a muzzle on, everybody's like, okay. He's very intimidating looking anyways. It just helps everybody feel safe. And you do the same. I would start that with him. Then your next step is start walking him around other dogs and interrupt. So you're walking him, same thing. Do this in the house with something that he can't have and get him used to being shifted to your other side and you walking sideways with him. Put some food or something on the floor that he can't have. Get him used to being shifted to the other side and keep moving. And it's not going to be easy because he's pretty determined. And at 4 years old, he's got a big habit. And then you gradually go out, even do it with the dog that lives with him. She's have her in a sit on one side and then walk towards and then suddenly swing him around so you're between him and her. And then he'll start to understand the picture. And they're very smart, Aussies are, as our border collies, Aussies border collies, and they don't want conflict, but what he's doing is instinctive. So you're actually going against the grain. You're going against his intuition by being upset about it. He's just trying to do his job. He's just trying to get everybody in a tight circle so he can control the energy and the flow. So you want to let him know that that's your job, and you do that by teaching him to flip to the other side on command. Start that in the house, but put a muzzle on him so that you don't have to worry. And keep me posted because that's there's lots of work there. And if you want, I'm happy to talk to you further about that in more detail. Just go into my bio, click on the link to book a session, and we'll talk about it. Question is, we got Chloe, I think right before COVID. She doesn't like people. She barks at them. What should we do? Okay, how old is she? So right before COVID, so she's at least 5. And she doesn't like people. That's an assumption on your part. It's not that she doesn't like them. It's that she feels nervous when she sees them. And there's a good chance that you haven't helped her understand. She barks at them because she's nervous. And instead, my question back to you is, then what do? Do you stand back and go, stop it, it's all right? Or you go, it's all right, it's okay, Chloe, like a high-pitched animal in distress voice. Either way, it's the wrong approach. So here's what I do with dogs that don't like people. I keep everybody moving. Everybody. So if they bark, here's a person coming, bark, 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 bark. I go, let's go. And I'll put the dog to the other side, and then we walk along beside each other. And then we'll turn around, we just walk and walk and walk together. If it's a stranger and she doesn't like them, you are going to do exactly the same as what you would do if she was reacting to another dog. And that is teach her to shift from the other one side where the person is to the other side, put your back to the person and keep moving. If the person approaches you and wants to stop and talk, you are going to stand between her and the person, and you're going to teach her or him, whatever it is, a solid, rock solid sit. And you're going to have the person ignore. And then when she's calm, you can step back and invite her in to sniff their feet. They are not to touch her, talk to her, or look at her. Ever. Let that be her, on her terms, basically. And that's what she'll tell you. So it's patience, time and patience. You got 5 years of bad habits that you need to undo. You can call in a trainer or for some help, or you can go to my bio and click on the link and book a session, and we can talk some more about it and get some more information from you on that. Okay. But you've got some things to work through here. Okay. Chef Victoria, made with love. That's the handle. The question is this. My dog barks so much. When people come in the house, she barks. When people walk by the house, she barks. What can we do to stop this? Well, my question would be, what do you do with her now? What's her outlet? What's her daily routine look like? How much exercise is she getting? How much exposure does she get to other people? What jobs does she have to give her something else to think about besides being triggered when she sees the movement of other people? Because people coming into the house, she's barking because they're threatening her territory. That's her territory. When people walk by the house, she barks because she's triggering on the movement, and she's letting them know to keep moving. And what does that? We call that the postman syndrome, because what happens? She barks, they go away. So she wins. In her mind, that's a victory. So what I like to teach dogs to do is, first of all, once again, this is a leadership exercise. You get between the dog and whatever they're barking at, and then you teach them to go to a place. You see that bed behind where nobody's laying right now? Because the golden, there we go. Max is over there and Prince is in his crate, because Max and Prince are not friends anymore. You teach her to go to place, and that's her job. But you teach it before people start coming. I would enlist the services of a trainer, or go on my YouTube channel. There's at least two sets of videos there on how to teach a dog to go to place. It's a 4-step process. It's easy, but you have to do it over and over and over again. And then gradually add distractions. Give her a job, in other words, give her something else to do. And if you're in the house, if you work from home, don't let her sit in front of the window and bark at people all day. Sit on the dog, take her for her walk, bring her in, and then say, okay, time to go to work. She either goes in her crate for a rest, or she goes with you to your desk where you sit on her leash, you give her just enough slack to lay down, and you work until you're finished and you're ready for a break. And then you take her with you downstairs, you go outside for a potty break, and you come back in, and so on. So she's with you. She understands you've got her back. That's it. And when people come to the house, teach her to go to place. And if she's barking when she's on place, just ignore the barking. Eventually, it's going to stop. Usually what happens, she comes in the house. If I'm coming to your house, I wouldn't do this, but if someone comes in your house, she's barking, they go, it's okay, Chloe. It's okay. It's okay, puppy. I like dogs. Don't worry. She's going, holy crap, man. It's freaking me out here. And so she's barking, saying, like, back off, back off, back off. So what you want to do is educate your people that come to your house. Just ignore the dog. We're working on some stuff. So she might be a little bit noisy, but right now I'm going to give her a job. Just excuse me for a minute. And it's pup place. And if you need to, put that place bed near a heavy duty table or a stairwell or something, and then have a leash on it and attach the leash to it. I teach puppies as young as 10 weeks old to go to and sit on place while I'm preparing meals, and they never get off. Why? Because I tie them there to start with. They try to get off and they get self-corrected, and I don't have to do anything. They sit back and they go, oh, that didn't work out. I guess I'll just sit here. And then I can go over when food's ready and unclip, and they'll still sit there, and they can say, okay, let's go, and I can take them to their crate. So place is magic for that kind of stuff. That would be my... So in other words, when your question is, what can we do to stop this? What you want to ask instead is, what can we do to give the dog a natural outlet to make her feel protected and secure while giving her a job? Because you want to activate that brain. Dogs are so intelligent. We don't give them nearly enough credit. We just focus on bad dog, bad behavior. That's not it. She's just telling you, I'm worried about these people coming in the house and these people walking by. I'm going to make sure they keep walking. That's what she's doing. I bark, they go, I win. So give her something else to do. Sit with you while you're working, so you sit on her leash, and teach her to go to place when people come to your house. I hope that helps. Okay, handle is NH legs. Hope I got that right. How do I prevent my miniature schnauzer from pulling on the lead on walks? She does well for 2 minutes, then I'm constantly reminding her to stop. Okay, so I would go right back to square one. You don't say how old she is, but I would go right back to square one and teach her to follow. She's learning the process. If you're constantly reminding her, that means you're constantly doing this. She goes ahead, you pull back. She goes ahead, you pull back. To her, that's the process. I get to go where I want, and then I get pulled back. I get to go where I want, then I get pulled back. That's just how we walk. That's what's going on in her brain. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's what she's thinking. So I would back up. I wouldn't take her for walks anymore. I would take her for training sessions in an open parking lot. I don't know where you are. If you're in a place like this, where we have 100 centimeters of snow on the ground, it's going to be tight, but you want to do it in the basement if you have to. But I put a 10-foot line on. This is in the Great Stroll course, chapter 4, long line walking. I teach the dog to follow naturally. You teach them to follow. And then you do it in isolation without distractions, and then you gradually add distractions. And in chapter 5, we're going to talk about how you transition from that long line to a short line, and with distractions. So you've got to train that. There is no instant correction to make the dog stop pulling when she's already got a habit of pulling. You say she does well for 2 minutes. So the other thing you can do, that's option one. That's the long option. The other option, which is just as long, but it's a little more fun, if you like, is all of her food comes from hand. If you feed raw, you got to freeze it and make frozen meatballs. If you feed kibble, easy. You put her allotment in a food pouch. And when she's walking with you, like you say, she does well for 2 minutes. So I would start with food in my hand, like so, just there, flat between my thumb and my forefinger, and my hand positioned right at my thigh, equal distance with the dog's nose. And then I step forward with that inside foot, one step, and I say yes, and I'm going to feed. And then I'm going to take 2 steps. I'm going to reload my hand for food, and I'm going to do 2 steps. Yes, and I'm going to feed. And I'm going to keep doing that until I can get to 100 steps. You know how many days, weeks, months that's going to take? I don't know. Depends on how often you walk her. But that's the only way she's going to get walked. Then the free time is in the backyard. Woohoo, let's play ball, let's do stuff. Schnauzers are terrier type. Like they're herders or protectors. They're like terriers. They're hunters. So she's curious. So you've got to get her focused on you. They're smart as whips, and you've got to get her focused on you. And then also, so when you're doing that, like that's going to be extremely tedious for you and for her. So she needs another outlet. And if you're really dedicated and you want it, I would enroll her in something like barn hunt. Something that appeals to her natural instincts. Find a club or an area in a group in your area that offers things like barn hunts. Schnauzers are key for that, and they're so much fun. And she doesn't have to have perfect leash manners for that. She just has to have a good recall. So, and again, go to my bio, click on the leash course, and sign up for it, because I go through this in nauseating detail. It's probably too much for some people, but it's very detailed. And by the time you're done, if you practice every single thing, I give you homework in every single module, or chapter, you'll have a dog that's going to walk beside you, but you got to work at it. There's no magic pill here. It's work. And somehow, at the beginning, what happens is often happens with puppies. Oh, isn't she cute? She walks beside me. And then you don't even notice when she zips off to the side, or you don't notice when she forges ahead because she's so cute and small. But now she's a year old and it's not cute and small anymore. But she's already thinking that's how we walk. So you've got to back it up, roll it back, and either go back to a long line to teach her to follow you, or do what I call the 3-6-9 drill with food. Inside foot, food at your thigh, 1 step feed, 2 steps feed, 3 steps feed. And every time you feed on the move. So I go 1 step, sit, good, and I'll take the foot, then I'll take another step, and as I'm moving, she feeds. You want to be sure you time the reward properly, and the reward needs to happen only when she's moving in the proper position. That's the reinforcement zone, because if she sits and you reward, she's going to think she's supposed to stop to get the reward. So she might still forge ahead. So you want to be rewarding on the move, and that's tricky till you get used to it. That's why you do it in the house, in the basement where there's no distractions, so you can get that movement. And like I say, in the Great Stroll, we've got tons of videos on that, and it does work, but it takes time. And then we do you can do a whole bunch of other things with that as well. You can teach her to sit down and so on, but you reward on the move when she's in the proper position, which is where your hand should be parallel with her nose. So she reaches up and all she has to do is flick her tongue and she gets that food. Oh yeah, this is where I need to be. This is where all the good stuff happens. Okay. Good luck with that. Question is this. My dog is 5 years old, got her a couple of years ago. She's very reactive to other dogs. She's better now on walks when they are across the street, but sometimes lunges. Yeah. Okay. Well, you've done some good work. Congratulations. If she's better, that means you've done something right. You've probably given her a reason to trust you, that she's safe. So even though she sometimes lunges, here's what I would suggest. It sounds like this would be an easy fix. Just make sure she's walking beside you, and you can do the same food thing. Keep food in your pocket. But I would immediately teach her to. You're gonna as you see the dog, you're gonna go. Oh, you shift around. There's a variety of different ways to get her to the other side. But you get her to your opposite side. Turn your back to the dog across the street, even if she's not going to react to it, and then you lure her forward with food so she's following your nose. But you keep your food parallel. Don't put it way out in front. You keep it, right in front of you. So she's looking up basically at you, and you're blocking vision of the dog across the street. Even if she's not going to lunge, if you say she sometimes lunges, don't wait. Be proactive. Teach that as a habit so that eventually it won't take long, because you've already got a good relationship with her by the sound of it, because she's made some improvement. Eventually she'll see the dog, and as you're going to shift, she's already going to be on the other side. Over and over and over again. Start now and don't wait till she lunges, and practice in the house, then in the yard, then on the street. Okay? Great question, and it'd be an easy fix for you. Great question here. My dog has severe anxiety with dogs and people. She's a Belgian Shepherd, and you've had her since she was 4 months, and she's always been like this. Woo! I'm in LA, yuck. And she's had 2 trainers, I don't mean yuck like it's in like bad, but like that's a lot. It's a lot, right? And she's had 2 trainers, not much improvement. So I have a Belgian Shepherd. Prince is the Belgian Malinois. That's it. If I let him, he would be very anxious. Often your energy and their energy match. Energy is energy. Anxiety creates anxiety. You're not going to be. How old is she now? You said she's 4 months. You don't say how old she is now. Highly reactive. Yep. So anxiety. I would be giving her. I just came away from one of the gals that were with us in Costa Rica has a you should follow her actually, Dr. Melanie. Just go into Instagram and under search type in Dr. Melanie, Dr. Melanie, and it's UHDE is her last name. She has one, and she talks a lot about what's going on in the dog's brain. I highly recommend that you follow her if you can. She has one that's the same, and we all agreed on this. One of the things to do is to not try to be so controlling. You want to get her out on a long line and encourage her, build her confidence in sniffing. Not all sniffing. You're going to mix it up. I call them walks, like work, play, work, play. So you're going to have a structured walk, and then you're going to go free, and you're going to give her a little bit longer line, let her sniff around, follow the dog, so to speak, and then you can turn around and have her follow you. You've got to mix this up, but you've got to stay in areas with low anxiety. I don't know how easy that is to do. I mean, with low distractions. I don't know how easy that is to do in LA, to be honest with you. And I don't know who your trainers are. There's tons of them there. So, but I would get her out into an environment where she has some self-fulfilling activities, and that's just sniffing. Don't worry about high energy play and throwing a ball and all that stuff. Yes, but I would also teach her how to use her mouth. That's tug. Teach her how to play tug. I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel as well as throughout Instagram. They need an outlet. Anxiety is best treated with something else to think about. And that's where the long, relaxed leash walks, if you can find it, like if you've got a Belgian Shepherd, a Belgian Malinois, and you're trying to keep them under control at all times, it's not going to work. She needs something. Her mind is on fire. They are the easiest dogs in the world to train. They are so, so intelligent, but she needs an outlet. So I would give her a mixture of something to do with her mouth, on a long line, like an 10 foot long line. Don't try to keep her right beside you all the time. Let her sniff, even if you feel comfortable, whatever you're wearing. I use a pinch collar, but you can still put a flat collar, choke collar, or a head halter, which I hate, but something that's going to let you feel comfortable to let her go and sniff and keep moving. And don't run, but you just casually, yeah, good job. Let's go sniff and sniff together, dig at the ground together, do dog things with her. So she knows that you get her instead of just trying to be human all the time. If you want to talk some more about that, by all means, go to my bio and click on book a session, because I have a Malinois and they are easy, easy, easy. But you do anxiety or reactivity, that's one of their characteristics, because they're so intense. Intense is all I can say, but give them that outlet. Prince, I live on 100 acres. He's hardly ever on leash. When he sees the leash, he goes crazy because he's so happy to go to work. And he's on edge when we're walking. He's like, whoa, what's going on here? Not anxious, but just like, I'm ready. If you want me to do something, I'll do it. But because he's fulfilled using his nose, which is how dogs see the world, he doesn't have those issues anymore. He had them when he came here, but he doesn't have them now. Because I watch him and he sniffs here and he sniffs there, and I'll sometimes get right down with him. Go, what is that? What's that? Who's been here? Ah, boy. And it's usually fox or skunk or who knows what, you know. So in the city, it's a little bit different, but try to find an area where you have the ability to do that with her. Let her just sniff and walk with her. That'll be a start. Keep me posted. Okay, next question. Hi, my boyfriend has a chow. She gets creative when I go over. She's aggressive. She's protective of him. Yeah, she's protective of him. Chows are like that. So what's your question? I don't know what your question is. I don't know what your question is. There's a good chance she's never going to get over that. The way to help her get over that is for him to not be there and you take her for a walk so that she gets to know that you're okay too, but not with him there. Then you start to integrate you being there with him in the room, but you're in charge of the dog gradually, over and over again. Good luck. I don't usually say how old she is, so I don't know what the habit is there. Okay, next question. Okay, G Negron 1274. This is a great question. Hello, my dog begs every time someone is eating. How do I stop it from doing that? Don't feed her at the table. Don't drop food on the floor near the table. That's the first thing. The second thing is give her a job. Teach her to go to place during mealtime and make sure she stays there. And the way to do that is to back tie her so she can't get off. And repeat, repeat, repeat. But number one, there's likely at some point in her life, it only has to happen once. Someone slips some food. Oh, it's okay. She doesn't. She's okay. No, she's not okay. Because now it's like, I call it, it's the stalker syndrome. Someone stalks you, they phone you 500 times. And on the 501st time you pick up the phone, what's the message? They got to call you 502 times the next time. And that's what they'll do. And that's what the dog's saying. Well, 3 years ago, somebody slipped me some food. If I just keep trying, I know someone's going to do it again. So don't let that happen. And also in the interim, in addition to, give her a job, send her to place. That's it. All right. Cajun Swamp Mama. Question. My husky keeps biting and ripping my wooden fence. I'm assuming the question is, how do I stop that? Tie her up. Put her in a crate. Walk her and then give her rest, and then put her in a contained area with a roof on it, because that's what huskies do. She needs to get out. That's what she's telling you. I need to move. Huskies are inherently migratory. They need to go. It is almost impossible to keep a husky contained, just saying, which means you got to walk them, bike them, road them, do whatever you need to do every single day, every day, every day, every day, and then make sure they have contained, quiet, undisturbed rest. 3 walks a day, undisturbed rest. And then by walks, I mean, you might be rollerblading with her to let her just get that out and then hang out, build a relationship. If she's out in the yard biting and ripping your wooden fence by herself, why is she out there by herself? Where are you? You have to build the relationship to make her want to stick around, and then you have to give her what she needs. Her needs are not being met. Simple. Okay, Tartan_Doodles. This is a great question. How to stop anger biting in a 15-week-old puppy? I don't know what anger biting means. For not quite 4 months old, likely sleep deprived, I would build a solid routine, a solid daily routine. Go to my bio, click on the link for the free puppy parenting course. And if you want more detail on each of the elements in that puppy course, go for the paid course. It's in there. Work, rest, play. A fulfillment formula. Walking, playing. I'm assuming it's a doodle because you say tartan doodles. And I would, all of a sudden, anger biting, I would be, hey, that's enough of that. In the crate. Done. That's it. Time out. And it would be like an hour, 2 hours. Wait, she's going to fall asleep. Guaranteed she's going to fall asleep. If you get her back out and she bites you again, I take her out to pee, I bring her back in, put her in the crate. Eventually she'll figure it out. But generally it's likely because, or I would take her for a walk if you need to burn something off, come back in, sit on the leash. If she's anger biting, and I'm assuming biting your hands, she's probably overtired. Put her away. and then check it when she comes back out. At that age, she should be, for every hour she's out of her crate, she should be in for 2 hours. 18 hours of rest a day. Out for 1, in for 2. Okay? That's it. Yep. So, okay, here's the follow-up. She's an Aussie Doodle. When I pick her up to bring her in from playing, she wants to bite. Well, that's easy. So pick her up to bring her in from playing. I'm assuming that you've been playing with her. She wants to bite. She's protesting. I wouldn't pick her up. I'd put a leash on and go, let's go. Now you're giving her a job. So now she's got to think. Because when you pick her up, you take away all of her natural ability to do what she thinks she needs to do for her survival. Remember, dogs are social migratory predators, which means their number one priority in their life is their survival. They are always thinking their survival. You pick her up, cortisol levels in the brain go up. She thinks she's threatened. Oh my God, something's going to happen. She doesn't know that you're like mom. Like she now, every one of her abilities to protect herself has been removed because you've lifted her off the ground. I wouldn't pick her up. B, I would attach a leash or have a long line on her all the time when she's in the yard. Then you just pick it up and you go, let's go. Bingo. End of problem. That's it. The biting is protesting and catering to her survival. Don't do it. Leash, long line, let her follow. It'll go away. Promise. Okay, next question. Final question of the night. I really thank you folks for hanging in there. We're 10 minutes over. D Saudi or DS Audi, one or the other. Our Theodore is hard for our groomer to groom. He's jumpy and bitey. He's normally a sweet dog, but just not under that circumstance. A couple of questions. How old is he? How old is Theodore? What kind of dog is he? And how long do you go to the same groomer all the time? And if that's the case, there's a good chance that the groomer is likely moving too fast. I have had dogs that are jumpy, bitey. My Papillon couldn't stand to have her ears touched, couldn't stand to have her feet touched. But I don't do that. I don't groom my own dogs because I don't want to compromise my relationship. I pay a groomer to build a relationship based on grooming. My relationship with the dog is based on life. So if Theodore is giving your groomer a hard time, your groomer is missing some steps. You might have to back off a little bit and recognize that when Theodore goes to the groomer, the most you can expect to happen is he might get brushed or he might get his nails, one nail trimmed, something of that sort. So you want to get my groomer will sometimes take a whole day. When I first take a new dog there, she'll take a whole day to groom that dog. My Papillon, as an example, could not stand her ears being touched. Now she's fine. And I've had her for almost a year, and it's taken about that long for Pippi to let my groomer touch both ears. Now she's quick about it. She doesn't belabor it, and she doesn't linger on her ears, but it's done. And now Pippi goes, oh, okay, I can't win that battle. Theodore is winning the battle, jumpy and bitey, and the groomer's allowing it. I would find I'd either find another groomer or find out what your groomer is doing. Find a groomer that's willing to work with his behavior to help you overcome it. That's what good groomers do. Period. I had my Havanese. He's now 13. When we first got him, he couldn't stand to be touched anywhere. We had to, put his head up so he couldn't move his head and muzzle him. And it took years for him to overcome that because he had been so conditioned, so fearful of his survival. But we took the groomer's advice was have the same groomer and go systematically around, and we wouldn't groom his face and all of that, just systematic. Eventually, the same groomer handles things the same way, and they go through systematically, and they're willing to take their time. So that's how I would do that. So that's what you need to do, and Theodore will be fine, but it's going to take some time. All right. Okay, folks, I want to thank everybody for joining in for the great questions we had tonight. We had some fantastic questions. I know I may have missed some of you saying hi when you jumped in here because names just go scrolling by here so fast. If you have a question, be sure to send me a message. If you're a follower, or if you're not a follower, follow me, and then I can read your messages. If you want information on how you can have a dog training business that works even when you're not there, type freedom in the comments. You'll get access to my ebook that I put together since my trip to Costa Rica, which I will be doing again and again, not like necessarily this year, but I have another trip planned in June, and I have another trip planned in September, and possibly one in November, all while my business continues to thrive. So I give you some great strategies in that book. Just type freedom in there if you want to know more about that. And if you have other questions, please feel free to send me a DM or an email through the week, and we'll gather up those questions. We'll answer them then, but we'll also bring them to the show. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us on the Instagram live version of this week's Paws and Profits podcast. And you can see the themes were bitey puppy syndrome and reactivity, either people coming in or near a dog or well on walks. So if you have any further questions, be sure to type your comments in the description below. And if you want more information, don't forget, book a call. I'm happy to help you, and we'll see you in the next episode.